Hey, welcome to The Sinner and the Saint. I'm Melissa Bell.
And I'm Allison Kane.
I know this is going to be an amazing episode because, y'all, we just recorded before this one, and then there was 30 minutes of chaos. Maybe not that long, but it felt like a long time.
Yeah.
Everything just went down. We couldn't get anything to work, and that never happens.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Okay.
All right. So,
Back to the program.
back to the program.
Technical glitches are always exciting.
I know. Love it. Go ahead and dive in. What are we talking about today?
All right.
Okay.
We're in Acts 2.
Acts 2.
Acts 2. 41 through 47. I love Acts. It is so exciting. It's like, holy cow, the Holy Spirit, tongues of flames. The apostles are like all ready. They're going out. They're starting the church. They're getting disciples. I mean, they're making new Christian. I mean, it's just so exciting.
I love the way you said that because I just had a whole movie play in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with them coming out of the church, with their, but they had long robes on.
Yeah.
And there's really cool music playing, you know?
Awesome.
Anyway, yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Your excitement is bubbling over into me.
Well, these particular verses that I was in, verses 41 through 47, were awesome because they, it talked about that day there were 3,000 and they were baptized and signed up. They committed themselves to the teaching of the Gospels, the life together, the common meal, and the prayers. They followed a daily discipline of worship in the temple, followed by meals at home, every meal a celebration, exuberant and joyful as they praised God. People in general liked what they saw. I think that's so funny. Every day their number grew as God added to those who were saved. But if you notice, it was this life together, this common meal, daily discipline, meals at home, every meal a celebration. And I just started thinking about...
You're tired? Because that makes me tired.
Yeah, that is a lot of activity every day. I mean, I guess they worked in there too. I don't know. Maybe it was kind of like a long retreat for that week or something.
Yeah, I'm like, how long did this last? Hang on.
But it reminded me of Richard Rohr, what he said about Jesus. He said, Jesus didn't please anybody. It seems he was always breaking the rules and spreading out the table.
I love that.
Yes.
The rebels like, oh no, we can make the table bigger.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't care who it was, where they'd been, if their pants were dirty or clean, you know, what had been going on with their aunt and uncle, what had happened at the high school prom. Like,
Yeah. You know, I just got on a little tangent this morning on my walk thinking, who on earth made you, you know, God didn't say, come be my gatekeepers. God didn't say, you know, come be the taskmasters and decide who gets in and who gets out. God said, just go be love. And
Yeah.
that's what Jesus was doing.
set the table.
Yeah.
Right.
Love
I mean,
that.
there's something really cool, really mysterious and magical that happens when we open up our homes to people and have a meal together, you know, and sit around the table. And I was thinking there are kind of two things. The first one is the opening of our homes. That takes a lot of vulnerability.
It can be really scary.
To bring people into your space when, you know, it's kind of like you mentioned before, like, I don't know what to wear because I don't know what anyone else is wearing. So you
Right.
feel a little uncertain. And it's like, well, if I invite them over to my house, like, what if it's not as nice as theirs? Or what if you know, I don't know.
You know, for me, it was I don't like to cook, and it was like the family joke is that mom can't cook because number one, my husband's an amazing cook.
He is.
Number two, I didn't learn how to cook till I was after the age of 40. And so it's the joke that I'm not a cook. So when I first started hosting people at my house, I was like, I have to cook something. Uh-oh. I mean, it was really a roadblock for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we are. And I'm
I
like,
mean,
suck it up.
unless you do potluck, which I love.
I do that too. But I mean, it's just
Yes.
like I'm creating the main dish.
Right.
And it's
Right.
meat normally, and I'm not really good at meat. But anyways, moving on. Sorry, it's not about me.
Well, it's just, you know, I just realized it's way more than just hospitality and loving to receive people into our homes. And there's something that makes people feel good when you cook for them. Like, you care enough to open your home, to invite them over. I mean, they know it takes prep work. Like, I love it when people have me over to there. I love to have people to my house, but I also love to go to other people's houses. I love it because there are nights when I don't have to think about it. I can just show up with a side dish or something. And I don't even care what's going on in their house, or if there are toys in the corner and all those things. My house is pretty neat and tidy all the time. That's just a personality trait of mine. And I've had people say to me, gosh, I could never have you over to my house for dinner because my house is never this clean. And I hate that because that's not my intent. I don't ever expect anyone else to, live or be organized or whatever the way I am. And
do you want me to come through your house next time before you have people over and just do a little,
No.
Okay. Throw a little sand on the floor. I'll sprinkle some sand on the floor.
Because then I wouldn't be able to enjoy my evening because I'd be cleaning up the sand all night.
You guys listen. She really, if we go back all the way to the beginning of fall of last year, she declared, I'm not cooking dinner anymore. This is her request. Please invite her for dinner so she does not have to cook dinner. She doesn't like it. She doesn't care what your house looks like. She just wants a free meal and she's tired of cooking.
I know the funny thing about that is actually Matt and I do share a lot of the cooking now, which is nice. But I am cooking more this summer since the boy is home.
Yeah, her baby's home from college. That's awesome.
Not as much though. But I don't ever want to create an environment where people don't feel like they could invite other people because doesn't look a certain way. We're all different. We need to embrace that. I mean, I can see how that would happen though, because I have friends who have me over and they've got china and cloth napkins, which my husband thinks is like amazing. He's like, ooh, cloth napkins. I'm like, what is efficient about that? You got to wash them, you got to dry them, you got to iron them. No, we're going to use paper plates. That's less dishes for me. We're going to use, we're going to use paper napkins. We can throw them all away. Yeah, I just keep it simple. But people do different things.
Okay, so I do supper club.
Yes.
And I'm a fan of paper plates. I don't care if they match, yada, yada, right? But my friend Angie that hosts with me, she loves to set a table. And when I tell you, she has so many dishes. Choose the season that you want.
Oh, gosh.
And so I noticed, because I've always been a paper plate girl. I've hosted people for a long time, just randomly like, let's grab paper plates. There's solo cups, whatever, right? When the women come into the house and a table is set for them, it makes them feel loved and important and honored. Yes. And that's what I've noticed. And so I may also be using this as an excuse to
buy dishes,
feed my dish addiction, because I love glass dishes. But it's just there's a different ambiance, and I think even if you did it once a quarter, have a big fancy, you know what I mean? And then
we do set the table some.
Yeah,
it depends on how many people are coming over, because we tend to have big crews of 12 to 15, and I'm not getting out. I don't want to wash that many dishes.
That's how many we have.
And,
no.
But
here's the thing.
Not every weekend.
No. That's like once. I do it once every 2 months.
Yeah. That's different.
But also, I think you're probably going to get there, but we're not really talking about just setting a table.
Yeah. No, that was like a sidebar. But it's the vulnerability and the power of opening your home. Mm-hmm. And if you look back at stories in Scripture, those were some of the most powerful moments that Jesus had to set, like people opening their homes, opening their space, and them sitting down for a meal. But that's the next thing. They sat down around a table. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, that seems so silly, but when we're all sitting down around a table together, we're all gathered. We're all on equal plane. Like nobody's sitting, everybody's sitting in a chair at the same table, sharing common space. There's no one above another. There's an intimacy and an equality and just a grace that is so beautiful in that picture. Like everyone is welcome. Just come have a seat. And you're creating traditions and memories around a table.
I love that you said that,
because a powerful place.
You said you're welcoming. Mm-hmm. And so I had noticed years ago that I said everyone was welcome, but then when they got there, I don't know that they really felt welcome, because it was so stressful to me, or it was so overwhelming. And so, I have been working really hard. And this past supper club, actually, I've enjoyed the supper clubs I've been doing, but this past one, I was actually really excited about it. And I'm not sure if it's because it was outside or whatever, but it was just like, I was excited. It wasn't so much of a heavy lift. But in scripture in 1 Peter 4:9, it says, cheerfully share your home with those who need a meal or a place to stay. And so I think when you have to check your heart and make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, and that, God will fill you up with whatever you need to welcome the people. But I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you were invited, but you didn't feel welcome.
Yeah, sure. We've all been there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, we don't want to be those people when we invite people into our home.
Yeah. But usually people aren't inviting people that they don't. Well,
yeah, it's normally, you're right, because it's not normally in your home. It's like, oh, come to this thing.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, this doesn't feel good.
Yes, I've definitely been in situations like that. I'm sure our listeners have 1,000 stories too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's talk about summer is a great time to do this.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a cookout. They're a little easier. They're a little less intimidating. The kids are, around. Maybe they're at camp. They're not. They're in and out. It can be with kids, without. It could just be with a couple of neighbors that you've wanted to get to know. It could be with some friends from church that you see each other all the time. But start a new tradition. I mean, we have these people that we do a triple date with instead of a double date.
Yeah.
We started years ago from church, and we're still doing it. And we just have so much fun together. And sometimes we host, or sometimes we go out. Mm-hmm. But it's set a tradition, and we have a name for it.
Yeah.
Our triple date.
Our triple date.
Yes.
I love that.
So who could that be in your life that you could do that? And what would it take for you to open your home and invite some people to dinner? What do you think? I mean, you said, like, for you, the obstacles to that are, yours were...
I was a
terrible cook.
Yeah, I was
fear of the cooking part.
Fear of the cooking. Yep, but you could always just get something.
Or Chris could have cooked it.
Yeah,
like Matt's
except
always
I do
in
it
charge
during
of
the
the
week.
grill. Oh, right.
I do it on Thursday nights.
But when y'all have couples over.
Yeah, Chris. Oh, people say, here's the deal: if you get an invitation for dinner, most people go, "Is Chris cooking?" But my girlfriends don't know that yet, so they just,
Well, you're doing such a good job of making it, and who cares?
Yeah, and what's fun is I do a potluck, and so I say, hey guys, this is what I'm, making. Here are some side ideas, like maybe a salad, maybe a whatever. So they don't feel obligated to bring exactly what I'm asking for.
Yeah.
I actually had someone so every time I do supper club, I do supper club, and I realized the reason I do supper club is because I never felt welcome. I never felt invited, right? And when I actually made it there, I still didn't feel like I was supposed to be there, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So over the years, I've figured out why I want to open my home and how I want it to feel. And so I try to break down all the barriers in the first email or message. And it's like, hey, this is casual. Come as you are. Come with your yoga pants, or come from work. I don't care. Bring food if you want, but if the idea of bringing food stresses you out, don't bring it. Come anyway. We're going to feed you and your soul.
Oh.
And then everyone just comes, and I will say it's...
And this is just women when you do your supper club.
Yeah, and people keep saying, are you going to invite men? And I was like, we might call it something else, but it can't be supper club. That's precious. But I think also... there's different people every time. So there's a few regulars that, are there every time or every other time. But then there's always new people.
Right.
But you have to decide what the supper club looks like for you. So I know what mine's supposed to look like, right? I'm inviting people that, I've invited 2 neighbors that I had never really spent time with before. And one of them was able to come. What a treat that was for me and for her. Because now I have a friend down the street, right? And she has a pool. Who knew that? So, think about what it looks like for you, and don't feel like you have to emulate. If you go online and look up supper club, that is going to be exhausting and overwhelming.
Yeah, pick your own. Pick your own vision. We have all different kinds of supper club. Well, we don't call them supper clubs. We have one we call meat night. That's a tradition.
Heck yeah. You guys have a chili cook-off. You guys have so many fun gatherings.
We do a lot of fun things, but meat night is awesome. So whoever hosts meat night cooks all the meat, and usually I mean, there's tons of different kinds of meat. And usually have the apps, and then just bring a side, whatever. you know, BYOB or BYOD, bring your own drink.
And here's another thing. That can throw people off too, the drinking. Mm-hmm. And so someone says, well, how do you handle that? Because a lot of the Christian circles don't believe in drinking. And I was like, well, it's my house. And so I say, hey, if you want to have a drink, you can bring a drink, or I might have something, but the truth is drink responsibly. But you need to decide how that looks for you. Now, if I had someone that I knew was struggling with alcohol, and I would not have it out. Right. And so you kind of have to go with your audience, so to speak, even though they're not your audience, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that, right. And I think you are inviting not strangers, but maybe not like close friends. You're just opening your home to people, to community.
Yep.
Versus what a lot of us do, which is just having different circles of friends.
Right.
And neighbors and groups of people from church in. So these are two very different things. Yours is almost like a ministry. This is how Jesus did his ministry. Around a table.
I know. And let me tell you, this last group, it was exactly that. And I think another thing, especially when you're hosting like I do, it's like, what are we going to talk about? And sometimes I like to start out and be really funny if people haven't been there before. Like, hey guys, thanks for coming. It's really a Tupperware club.
Oh, that's great.
It's a Tupperware meeting. And they squirm a little bit.
So that's a great thing to point out. So what do you do if you don't really know the people that how do you do the icebreakers?
This happens all the time.
And the conversations.
It happens all the time. And the truth is, I don't call it an icebreaker because when people see that, they're like, oh, right. That was what I would
hate
do.
An icebreaker.
And so I normally
women don't have problems talking.
I just ask one, like last time I had one question and someone else suggested the question that had been there before. And they said, why don't we all talk about how we know Melissa? And to me, I didn't love that question because it's focused on me. Mm-hmm. But what really happened was it gave them an opportunity to talk about themselves and their life without it being about them.
Oh, that is a great.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I was like, this is great. And it was probably what I loved about it was normally when I do supper club, people end up having little side conversations. There's normally 12 plus of us, right? And so you'll see 3 gathered here and we're all around the same table, but different conversations.
Right.
Well, this conversation had every single one engaged. We talked as a group the whole time.
That is cool.
It was so fun. It was fun to hear people's stories cross and, because you can relate to so many people.
And I love how you pointed out that every time has been different.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't know. And that's okay too. Mm-hmm. Depending on what you're doing, depending on the group of people or what it looks like. Is it a ministry where you're just basically throwing it out on social media and say, do you want it? That's kind of a big thing.
It is a big thing.
You might just want to start with some friends that you know because you don't have people over a lot. Some people think we're crazy because we do it so much.
Right.
But you can have more. Here's the thing. Going out is awesome too.
Yes.
But the conversations are so much harder.
Uh-huh.
The intimacy is not the same. There's not as much vulnerability. There is something beautiful. It is an incredible, beautiful gift that you give someone when you invite them into your home. Allow them to see a side of you they don't see anywhere else. Meet your crazy dog Gypsy, in her pink jacket, like see the pictures of the kids or the other family. That is vulnerable. And it automatically takes people to a different level and breaks down a few barriers just simply by them walking into your home.
Yes.
The fact that you asked them over.
I love that. And so also you hit on something there. And I think the conversations, like you said, that can happen at your house are so different than what would happen in a restaurant.
Yes.
But also when you are obedient and open up your house like God asked you to, the blessings. Of course, we're talking about 2 different things here because you're inviting friends, which is amazing.
Which also has huge blessings in itself, and inviting new couples and people over. There are huge blessings in all of them, old friends and new.
Yes. If you're, you can send us a message if you have any questions about either one of our, visions or whatever we do. But one thing that helps people is I'm very specific. I said, okay, we're going to start at 6:30 and end at 8. And the good news about that is that lets them know they're not here all night and they can leave at 8 o'clock. And I do say, hey, it's 8 o'clock. If y'all want to go. And if not, let's hang out and chat for a little longer. But it also gives me an out if I'm not having a good night.
Right.
Or if the group's not driving, I'm like, thanks so much for coming. You know what I mean? But I haven't had that happen. But,
right.
I'm putting all the parameters in place for an exit route. But I have loved every single one and the conversations that happen and just probably welcoming people that felt as though I did to be welcomed into someone's home, but actually feel welcomed.
It would be awesome to get some. You should do after dinner surveys. I'm just kidding.
Oh yes, let's do a survey.
That wouldn't be awkward at all. But I have no doubt that it has been a blessing to the women who have come. No matter if they've come repeated times or they've only been once, I know it's been a blessing to them. By meeting someone new, just by walking into your home, just by getting out of their own house and own space for
and
an
having
evening.
a reason to dress up.
Yes, having a reason to get out. A lot of people don't have that.
Or use a cake plate that you bought on a whim.
Yeah, that you never get to use. So true.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite verses that really kind of pushed me over the edge, and it's Hebrews 13:2, and it says, "Don't forget to show hospitality to strangers, for some who have done this have entertained angels without realizing it."
Oh, I love that one.
I really think for me, it gives me an opportunity to show people that would never step foot into a church the love of Jesus. Mm-hmm. Even if I don't say, Jesus loves you.
Yes.
Hopefully my actions do.
I love that. I hope we can all go out this summer and stretch our little vulnerability muscles and just have somebody over. Your house doesn't have to be perfect.
I'm thinking about adding a happy hour.
Oh, I love that.
I know. So
that's a really good idea.
Stay tuned for happy hour.
Oh, details to come. Thanks for joining us this week on The Sinner and the Saint.